Peace, family. I come to talk to you. I'm back at you again. I'm coming to talk to you about this Black Panther movie. It was actually a good movie. I actually had the privilege of seeing it twice. The storyline was good. If you understand Black Panther, from the comic books, they switched it around a little bit, but ultimately it was a good movie. It was a good storyline. Storyline to me was basically the storyline was basically set up. Not giving away the movie because I ain't gonna be long. I'm just gonna give a little breakdown. The storyline was basically to me, the story between the African American and the continental African, the diasporic African and the continental African, and the struggles that we had with each other. Because that's all it was. It was a fight that we had with each other in the way that we viewed the world because of our experiences. This movie had a lot of symbolism in it. Had a lot of numerology in it. It had a lot of Illuminati bullshit in it. Just the mere fact that the date that the movie came out on, the connection that it had with the Super Bowl, the connection that it has with the shooting in Florida. But I'm not going to really get into that. I just wanted to just throw that in there. But I'll start really breaking that stuff down to a lot of you frozen zombie brains out there later. Because a lot of you guys ain't ready for that kind of stuff. But the movie in a whole nutshell basically broke down about the colonization of the world from Europeans, and how the Africans had this precious resource, this precious metal resource that came from the sky, vibranium, and it fell into the sky, out the sky, and into this area of Wakanda, and the Wakandans sought to keep it quiet, and they didn't want the rest of the world to get their hands on it. And once learning about this precious metal, they actually became the most technologically advanced nation in the world, on the planet. And they had they was able to do all kinds of healing, just everything. Like they had it all, but they kept it to themselves, and they secluded themselves and separated themselves from the world. And they sat by idly and watched Africa be colonized, ravaged, and destroyed. They sat by and watched the Africans be put on slave ships and sent to the Americas. They sat by and watched the Africans and the indigenous Africans in the Americas be ravaged and do nothing. And I'm gonna get into that. There's a reason why I said that. So the storyline outside of you being entertained, that was basically the genesis of the story. So it was just the tribal African only caring about their tribe and them. Not nobody, really nobody else. I'm the king of Wakanda. Or it's just like a king said, I'm the king of the Yoruba or the Igbo or the Warlocks. And we care about our tribes. So they didn't really care about too much about Africa. They cared about uplifting the Wakandan people. I said that there was no white saviors in this movie, but it was actually a white savior in the movie. And you got to understand something about white supremacy and the white man. They're very cunning and conniving. They're very slick in the way that they do things. There was a CIA agent that was working undercover to get that vibranium from another white guy that was going to steal it. They had a scene where they were in a museum where Killmonger, which was the black character in the Americas, was talking to a white lady. She's supposed to be an expert on West African culture. And she was showing him these different masks and was breaking down where it came from and how they got it. So he went to like this little hole, a pitchfork, like this little hole thing that they had. And he said, where did that come from? And she said, like, that came from the Benin Empire. She broke it down. And he looked at it and said, no, it didn't. It basically came from Wakanda. And she's looking at him like, I beg your pardon. He was like, I take that off your hands. And he basically was going to take it. She was like, well, none of this stuff is in here is for sale. And now, remember, I told you about T'Challa and the Wakandans. Now I'm telling you about the Killmonger, who was raised here in America. He looked at her and he said, how can something not be for sale when you guys steal everything? You came and stole it and put it in the museum and claim it as your own. He said, I want to take this off your hands. So they end up killing her. But he was working with these white people who he ultimately ended up killing too. Because his whole plan was to get back to Wakanda. And fight for the throne. Basically get back and fight for the throne because he felt like he had rightful heir to the throne. What was rightfully his. Because see, in the comic books, his father was the brother to the king. And his father basically betrayed the kingdom and was ultimately killed by the king. And his family, this is the comic book version, his family was exiled out of Wakanda. They were sent into Harlem. But in the movie version, the king's brother was in Oakland, because that's where the Black Panthers, I guess, the Black Panthers originated. But see, they had the Harlem and Oakland connection. But they were in Oakland, and he stole the vibranium, and the king came down there to confront him because he had spies down there with him. He came down there to confront him. And in confronting him, he admitted that he had the vibranium. But once he gave the vibranium back to his brother, because remember, what I'm trying to say is, the Killmonger's father came here to basically liberate the diasporic Africans, and he wanted to use that vibranium to destroy and kill the colonizers, and we can get back into our kingship. He wanted to use that power that he knew that they was possessing to help all the diasporic Africans around the world. But the Wakandans were basically coons. They wanted to keep it all to themselves, and they didn't give a fuck about anything else. They wanted to maintain the sovereignty of Wakanda. So, in the struggle between the brothers, the king ended up killing his brother, which was Killmonger's father, and taking the vibranium back and going back to Wakanda, leaving his nephew. Didn't care, just left him there. Didn't give a fuck because his mother was one of us, and they didn't associate with us. They was in their arrogance that the Most High dropped this precious mineral down there. They kept it to themselves, and they became arrogant in their ways. So it ended up coming back to Harlem because you left behind your nephew who was heir to the throne, and he had his father's language book. He understood the culture. He studied it. He joined the military. He became a super killer. He became a super killer in the movie. But before we get to Wakanda, I want to talk about how they depicted the balance between a woman and a man. I love the fact that T'Challa's general was a woman, and she was in tune with her African self. She was in tune with her African beauty. They had a picture, a scene where she was undercover, and she was walking with a wig on her head, or weave, and she's like, "This is disgusting. This is deplorable." She wanted to get that shit off her head, and she was bald headed, but she was in tune with her African self, and that part of it was awesome. Lupita in the movie, she was a beautiful African, dark-skinned African woman that was in tune with her African beauty. They wasn't trying to be nobody else. They was cool with being Wakandan. They didn't give a fuck about white supremacy. They cared about Wakandan beauty and Wakandan culture. So I like that the fact that they had the balance where the woman could be a mighty soldier, because in Africa we had a lot of women soldiers that was mighty, that they don't depict, because we live in a racist, homosexual, patriarchal society where we don't venerate the woman. We put the woman behind us. We make the woman subordinate to us. In this movie, the woman wasn't like that. The woman was balanced. Like, she could be masculine and aggressive, but still be feminine and yield to her man as the king at the same time. She could still have the man as her lover. She wasn't a lesbian. There was balance, and the man was okay with that. It didn't take away from his masculinity. So I liked that depiction of that in the movie. But let's get to this white man in the movie, this CIA agent that was shot in the back, and they end up saving one of the women. They actually took him to Wakanda. Now, mind you, in Wakandan law, anybody that sees Wakanda come to Wakanda, they have to kill him, because they was trying to maintain Wakanda. They didn't want nobody getting into Wakanda. But this white man, the CIA agent, they had enough love for him. See, mind you, they left Killmonger. They killed, the king killed his brother and left the son there. They didn't give a fuck. But this white CIA agent, who was a colonizer, he got shot trying to save one of their lives. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't just leave him there. They took him to Wakanda. They fixed him up. And when Killmonger got to Wakanda to fight for the throne, under Wakandan law, he actually told him who he was. He came to fight for the throne. He fought T'Challa. He beat T'Challa, killed him, threw his ass off the motherfucking the waterfall, fell into the water and all that, took the throne, right? When he took the throne, he came in with that Black Panther thing. You know, he came in, man, fuck that. I want to, y'all was here all this time, had all this technology, right? Now he's speaking more like a black, what America would call us a black identity extremist. That's what they would label us, right? He came in, but he wasn't a black identity extremist. He was in tune with what was going on around the world. And he wanted to fulfill his father's mission. I'm going to go in, I'm going to take this vibranium and I'm going to send it to allies around the world that's ready to go. And we're going to kill and destroy these colonizers. We're going to take back what was taken from us. The problem was he was a little unbalanced because he had so much rage and anger inside of him from what happened. He was so much of a killer that he didn't have the balance of what a kingship should be. But the Wakandans created that in their arrogance, of holding on to everything. So it came back to haunt him. And he came back, he was big and strong. He represented the Gold Jaguar. Why did he represent the Gold Jaguar? Because he was so-called from the Americas, northwest of Mexico, northwest Africa. He was the Jaguar. The Jaguar is indigenous to the Americas, and the leopard or the Panther is indigenous to Africa. So the Jaguar is bigger, stronger, more aggressive. So he came over, he represented the Gold Jaguar coming from Wakanda. What is Wakanda? Wakanda is a Native American godhead, right? From northwestern Mexico. It's a Native American godhead. That's what Wakanda is. Magical powers is what it stands for. Now, one would have to ask the question, why do they have this story of Wakanda, which is a Native American godhead? This is real true facts. Native American. Why is it being depicted by black people in the Americas? That's the question. That's the million-dollar question. Wakanda, they put it in Africa, right? But they have black Africans depicting a Native American godhead. Why? Because the original people in the Americas were us. So what you had was the diasporic African fighting against the continental African for us being destroyed. Excuse me. Us being destroyed. You idly watching, sitting pat, watching us. With all the resources and the minerals that you had, you never used none of the resources and the minerals to come back and save us. So we're going to come back and take what's rightfully ours, the throne. So he came back and he took the throne. And he was going to dispatch the soldiers all around the world to go back and take down these colonizers. But with the T'Challa, because he was actually saved, he actually had his life saved by a guy that he beat for the throne earlier in the movie, a mountain tribe. They actually saved his life. And they was more like Killmonger. They didn't give a fuck about they didn't give a fuck about the technology and all that bullshit. They wanted to stay in tune with nature. And he wanted to fight T'Challa for the throne, and T'Challa ended up beating him and spared his life. So he spared T'Challa's life, and he kept him. And they went, they basically went to them because they needed the military to help defend Killmonger, because he was ready to go around the world and destroy. Now, these motherfuckers came back and fought to the death, against Killmonger to stop him from going out and take back what was taken from the Africans. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to maintain the way that the world is and let white supremacy stay in power. Now, where does the white savior part come in at? Because the white man in this movie was fighting not for Wakanda. He was fighting for white supremacy. His job, once he got to Wakanda, was to make sure that none of those weapons ever left Wakanda to go into the world and destroy white supremacy and destroy white imperialism. So that they had him in a spaceship and he's gunning down Wakandan fighter jets, shooting them down, spaceships, boom, 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 boom. And people watching the movie and they've been entertained by this, but they're not even understanding his role. His role was to make sure that none of that weaponry ever left Wakanda. Because if it left Wakanda, it would be the end of white supremacy. So there was a white savior in the movie, and when white people left this movie, they left this movie feeling safe. They left this movie knowing that they were still in power, still in pat, and black people will still want to black coons will still want to have unity and be integrated with them. That was the genesis of the white savior part. Now, they had parts in the movie where they played to all the shit that white people have said about us over time. Whereas the white guy, when he went up into the mountains to talk to that mountain tribe, he began to talk, and the king of the mountain tribe said, "Why are he speaking? You speak one more word, and I'll feed you to all the stereotypes that white supremacy has made about us." He said, "You say one more word, and I'll feed you to my children." And the white man was like, "Oh shit! Oh my God!" He was scared, and everybody started to laugh. He said, "Man, we vegetarians, man. We don't eat fucking, you know." But the reason why that was put in the movie because they always labeled us as cannibals. And we eat people, and we're savages, and we're all these different things. So they played, they played into that stereotype of white supremacy. But the white man's role in that movie was to get to Wakanda and make sure that none of those weapons ever left Wakanda. And he would fight with T'Challa and them against us. Because what he said in the movie was, he's not Wakanda, he's one of us. This is what the white man said. And he looked at him as a black identity extremist, which is a threat to white supremacy. And if you let him leave Wakanda with these weapons, he's going to basically go and do what we always said we're going to do. Bang on this beast and destroy white supremacy. The Wakandans didn't want to destroy white supremacy. The Wakandans will fight to the death against Killmonger, whom they created in the first place because they wouldn't accept them in their arrogance. They left them there without any type of family instruction. They hate produced. They created them, and now they will fight against them to maintain the uplift white supremacy in the movie. And that's what you saw in the fucking movie, man. And a lot of us missed that. We didn't even fucking get it. The white man was never eradicated. The white man in this movie would be lauded as a hero. Again, as usual. Now, they end up having that fight, and they had the second fight. See, now I'm gonna tell you, Killmonger won the fight, but for some reason, after he won, they went against their charter and the way that they had their government set up. They wasn't going to let him be. Oh hell no! There's no way that this man could ever be, because he went into the garden where they kept like a lot of that vibranium that turned you into the Black Panther. He said burn all that shit. He wanted to get rid of all of it because he understood the arrogance that it created on how they had all this technology and they just cut off all the other Africans around the world. The Most High dropped that right down in the middle of West Africa for Africans abroad, and they kept it to themselves, and they watched us be destroyed and burned. So he said, burn all that shit, and we're going to go around the world, we're going to right this wrong, and we're going to get these colonizers. Because even the Wakandans was referring to the white man as a colonizer. But they was okay as long as he wasn't fucking with Wakanda. They didn't care about nobody else. So Killmonger represented us in the struggle. Killmonger represented that Gold Jaguar from the Americas, northwest of Mexico, northwest Africa. Not no Mongoloid Native American from Wakanda. This is why they use black people to spearhead this Wakanda, because Wakanda is a Native American godhead. See these devils know more about our history than we know about ourselves. Just look up Wakanda and the Native Americans. There was no Mongoloid motherfucking people depicted in Wakandans. It was us. They're telling you your story because they know more about you than you know about yourself. And their kingdom is fallen, and there's a paradigm shift coming. And they know that we're coming back into power. Don't worry about how much money they made off this movie. Don't look at that. The parallel is the kingdom is falling, we're coming back into power, and they have no choice but to tell you who you are now. You better study history, man, early history, man, before the Americas, and who the original people here was, man. You better read Giovanni Verrazzano's memoirs where he wrote of the copper-colored people when he got here to the Americas, when he hit the Carolinas. You better read the Lenape tribes here at Turtle Island and all these different things. You better understand, man, what the Wakandans understood and their depiction of this God and why they use black people to depict it. They use a black African in West Africa and a copper-colored brown person from the Americas. And so now you had the Gold Jaguar versus the Black Panther. And we're having a fight with each other because of the pain and the discord that we had with each other. And the reason why we fell, because we always had this tribal thing. So they put this in the movie, but they know they had to put the white person in there. But just understand, Killmonger represents America, Northwestern Mexico, and West Africa. He represents the connection of Africa with. He represents the connection of African and our strained relationship with the people on Africa. So, I didn't want to be before you long. I just wanted to just break down, just get my breakdown of the movie. It was a good movie. I know part 2 is going to be out. Probably Storm is probably going to be in part 2 because T'Challa in the cartoon is married to Storm in the comic books. But they put the white savior in there, man. And his job, like I said, his job was to make sure that none of those weapons got out to the rest of Africa, the rest of the Caribbean, the rest of the Americas. So they used, again, the black man, these black sellouts, black coons, to go take us down, to stop us from stopping white imperialism. So now after the movie, once he was there, he actually went to the UN and sit down in the UN to T'Challa. How the fuck you gonna go sit down with the colonizer? For what? Well, you got the technology to destroy and stop these motherfuckers. Then he went into Oakland and he bought the project building and he bought the whole block. And now he wants to integrate this shit instead of going in to take over and put the people back into their rightful places and rule it righteously. Not like the unrighteous colonizer. See, white people left out of that movie feeling safe because the Wakandans, with all that technology they wanted to have a fucking seat at the UN. That was cold word psychologically for white people feeling safe. Now, you got to understand something. Psychologically, they always gave us movies on Roots, 12 Years a Slave, The Butler, movies in subordinate roles. When you go into these institutions, all your superheroes is white, Santa Claus is white, all the inventors is white, Jesus is white. Anything associated with greatness and power is white. So, psychologically, this movie was very hurtful and damaging to the white psyche because there was no so-called white superstar or superhero or white man that just ruled. They're not used to seeing that. They always used to seeing us in subordinate roles. What they had, the white savior in this movie was saving the white man's ass. So white people can't even fathom a Wakanda. You motherfuckers ain't intelligent. We civilized you. We gave you culture. We gave you everything. Us having equality with black people, this is the way the white man thinks. Us having equality with black people would be us having to dumb ourselves down to come down to your level. And that would be not us advancing forward because you are beneath us. So this Wakanda shit is to them is racist, is bullshit, is black identity extremists. You want to go and take over the world. You want to have everything. Whereas I'm telling white people, y'all been ruling for the last 500 years with an iron hand, killing and destruction. You already have your Wakanda. This has been your Wakanda. I'm speaking English. It's the mere fact that this is your Wakanda. So the paradigm shift is coming and you guys can't handle it. Because psychologically, you never saw yourself in a subordinate role to anybody. And this is why when you go onto these social media sites and now you see these white people depicting the Black Panther movie as a joke. Because they don't understand. They were told the Egyptians were white. The Hebrews were white. Anything associated with anything of power or greatness is white. And we go see this movie and be entertained and we're in the movie crying. We're in a movie with just jubilant because we never saw black power. It's sort of like when Coming to America came out. The same way. We got Can't Take Hard For. We're like, man, this is amazing. Our mind was never able to conceptualize anything like that. We never saw this in power. And now you're basically seeing what we were before we fell. These empires, the Benin Empire, the Sundai Empire, the Malian Empire, the great empire of Zimbabwe, the great empire of the Sudanese Empire, the Ethiopians, the Tanzania. See, the empire of Zimbabwe, listen, y'all gonna have me go off, man. And they're showing you these empires, the Mexican Empire here in Northwest America that they don't want you to know about, that we were already here. The people that, all of us didn't come over on slave ships. We were already here ruling these lands. And they came over here and they colonized us and destroyed it and took our stuff. This is why they have the depiction in Wakanda, which is a Native American guy. They had a black man coming from these lands, going over there to go take back the throne. So we got to study our history. We got to understand what the message, the subliminal messages that they're trying to tell us. White supremacy is going to always try to use their fake ass numerology that they stole from us to try to trick your minds, but they're falling out of power. So now the ball is in our court. We have to start putting our money together and start basically forming our own movies. So now the next thing is to create our own Black Panther or our own movies, us coming together, understanding our power. Study the Benin Empire. Study the Zimbabwe Empire. Understand the power that we have as black people. We are not subordinate to whites. We got to get out of the Freddy Krueger effect. They are not greater than you. They're not more intelligent than you. They conquered and had us under their feet for so long that they conditioned our mind to believe that they were more intelligent. They conditioned the white people to believe that they're more intelligent. So a Wakandan story to some savage, primitive Africans can never be true. But on the ground, the archaeological evidence tells a different story. Look up the Zimbabwe Empire. Look up the empires in South Africa. Look up the Botswana's empire. So that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. So we have to study the Mandinka people, the Mandinka kingdoms. Study these things because it's public record and it's there. But the storyline was basically a story of the African and the diasporic African fighting against each other. You know, and our strained relationship. You know, but we gotta understand our history and understand what these bastards are doing. And understand that in a white supremacist mind there could never ever be any type of Wakanda. But the Wakanda is here and Wakanda is in you. We are creating things, and these white supremacy for generations has been living off of our spirituality and our manifestations. The sister in the movie Wakanda was the genius, technological genius. She was using this vibranium to create all these different things. But the majority of the inventors here in the Americas are black. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson is the leading astrophysicist on the planet. In Nigeria, Dr. Gabriel Aibo is the leading mathematician. We already are creating these things. The fiber optics within the phones, Patricia Boff, the microphones, the brother in South Africa that just created that water thing that they killed. We are already the creators of everything. The Wakandan story is in you. The allegorical city, you are the Wakanda. It's in you. But you have to understand that and begin to develop yourself. So when I told you they're pushing this mulatto agenda because they're trying to create a multicultural society where the light-skinned motherfuckers is at the top of the hierarchy, that's white supremacy trying to survive through us. We got to peep all the games that they're doing and begin to go in here, man, and take back control of what was taken from us. We don't have to go back and build pyramids. We're going to go back and do greater things. Way more advanced than any damn pyramid. Because that advancement is inside of us. We got to understand who we are. So we got to get back to studying history. But I ain't want to be before you long, man. I just wanted to just come and give my assessment on what I saw in the movie, man. And what I saw was basically the man that America would call the black identity extremist. He was right. He wasn't a villain. He was right. He wanted to come in and take down white imperialism and white supremacy. The problem was he didn't have a balance. So we need to have sort of like a balance between Killmonger and T'Challa, sort of like in the middle. You need to have like that kingship, intelligent mind, but that hardcore ability to go and back and take back and restore your people at the same time. Because Killmonger had too much hate in him to the point where it began to consume him. And he began to behave just like his enemy. And fucking T'Challa, he was basically your everyday coon, integrationalist. He don't want to take down white supremacy. He just want to live in peace with them. You can't live in peace with these bastards. They demonstrated the behavior they're incapable of living in peace. So he actually fought against his own cousin and killed him. Now, the scene at the end that made me cry was when they was actually on a mountaintop and he was watching the sun. And he's sitting in front of the sun. He watching Ra in the sky. And he had the spear inside his heart. And T'Challa looked at him and said, we probably can save you. And he looked at T'Challa and said, wow, so you can keep me in bondage? I'd rather die and you throw my body in the water with my ancestors that jumped ships that didn't want to be enslaved. That was powerful. Because he told T'Challa, I'd rather be dead than be integrated with these bastards. You want to integrate with these bastards. You want to sit at the UN with these motherfuckers. No. They behavior has shown that they are incapable of sharing, and if they get any inch of having that technology, they will take it and destroy you with it. Because they're not you. They don't think like you, they don't operate like you. And like he said, I'd rather be dead than be in bondage, because you would put me in bondage. He would put Killmonger in bondage and imprison Killmonger, but he won't go and imprison the colonizers. This is what T'Challa and the Wakandans wouldn't do. Even T'Challa's brother turned against him and sided with Killmonger because he knew better. He knew better. So watch the movie, man. Remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves, and I pray to the universal creator, Most High, that these words be enough to inspire you. These words be enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words be enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change, man. It was a good movie. I side with Killmonger, but you need balance. You have to have the in-between. But the Wakandan story was just a story of coons that wanted to integrate and keep everything to themselves. He killed his cousin. He killed the American. He killed us and went to the UN and sided with the UN and wanted to share. Peace.